always this crazy?
Well, it's a Wednesday.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9, and this will be my review and breakdown for The Flash Season 9 Episode 5, titled The Mask of the Red Death Part 2. And let me just start off by saying I am speechless. What an episode. I was genuinely mind blown with how good this episode was. Really loved it. What a way to close off this arc. 4 episodes of disappointment, but ended off with a bang. Really just stuck that landing, and it was absolutely incredible. Just giving you guys my quick initial thoughts on this episode before I go more in detail with this review and breakdown itself. I go over the scenes bit by bit. As I said, absolutely amazing, by far the best episode of the season and one of the best episodes of The Flash in my opinion. This was genuinely such an amazing episode. Obviously I did have issues with it, but the whole family dynamic that we saw towards the end was something I absolutely adored. It was just such like a core part of like the earlier seasons of The Flash, and just having that scene, it was just absolutely amazing. Just this family dynamic, and knowing it's the final season but also having all of the cast together in that scene, I just really loved it. And you know, I was just speechless with that scene. It was just honestly just beautiful. We had some absolutely amazing character interactions, especially with the pep talks, Joe and Barry's pep talk, Grodd and the Flash's pep talk, and Iris and Khione's pep talk as well. Just really good. You know, pep talks on this show, they're either hit or a miss, but in my opinion, every single one we've had, it was an absolute success. We did have 2 returning characters, one of course being the one we already knew was going to show up, that being Batwoman, and then the other one was rumored and theorized to appear, and it actually happened, that being Grodd, and they both come in a very interesting way. That final battle between the Flash and the Red Death was just absolutely incredible. It's one of the best fight scenes on this show by far. Just absolutely loved it. I loved how the team worked together as well. The Rogues haven't been defeated yet, so I wonder if they're going to save that for later. But I did really like Red Death's plan B, if you will, where obviously she lost her road trip back home, so she's just going to take over the Flash's city. And this is where we start off with this episode. But of course, before I get into the review and breakdown itself, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the episode, you have been warned, because trust me, you wouldn't want to watch this video without seeing this episode, because this episode was an absolute banger. So yeah, spoiler alert, you have been warned. So yeah, this episode kicks off with like red lightning going across Central City. There's pretty much chaos. Red Death is causing chaos in Central City. We're seeing lightning strikes everywhere. We have CCPD going into panic, and we see that the Rogues take over CCPD. We have the Red Death zooming in. We have Murmur over there confronting Kramer, all those sorts of stuff. So yeah, we have the Rogues and the Red Death in CCPD, and Kramer starts using her powers. She uses Bigelow's whammying powers on all of the Rogues, and it doesn't work on Red Death, which was something I found pretty interesting. Like, she was able to fight it off. Maybe that's because of all like the negative emotions and hatred she already has. I don't know, but that was actually pretty damn cool. But Red Death's able to fight it off temporarily. She takes meta cuffs and obviously cuffs Kramer up. And then we obviously have Red Death mentioning that she's going to show everyone what true justice looks like, and this by playing judge, jury, and executioner with her plan B. We then cut to Star Labs, where we have Allegra this time talking about how we're supposed to never leave someone behind. Pretty much Team Flash just talking on the recent events such as Chillblain's death, well, quote-unquote death, because we now know he's not dead, and how Barry lost his speed, and you know how the stakes are higher because of this, so they don't really know what to do. Barry does find a way of being able to track Red Death because of the emotions she has, which, as I said, it's negative. It's just pure hatred, giving these traits of the negative Speed Force. But once again, we know she's not the avatar of the negative Speed Force. These are just her personal emotions she's feeling right now. And this is why they use Cecile to track Red Death's emotions, because, you know, she's an empath. She can, you know, find signatures of emotions and things like that. So the way they included Cecile in this episode, it worked, but I don't really like how they use Cecile for like plot device stuff. One of these types of scenes being the primary example. And we pretty much have Cecile leveling up. Like, she's able to not only enter Red Death's mind, find where Red Death is, but also she's further able to like tap into Red Death's head, but also see like other stuff, such as flickers of someone being trapped in the warehouse, who we later on find to be Chilblain. So yeah, Chilblain is alive, and obviously in the episode we did find out specifically why Red Death left Chilblain alive. Now we then have the good rogues wanting to just go after Red Death. They don't want to, go back and save Chilblain because they say it's too dangerous, but they know where Red Death is, so they might as well just take her on by surprise. But Barry obviously doesn't want to leave anyone behind. Mark is part of the team, so obviously Barry, knowing that he's now alive, is going to go for the saving, in which we have this team debate, which I did like, either going after Red Death or going after Mark. Something I did really like was then Khione intervening, and she's like, of course we have to go after and save Mark. So that was something I did really like, and she's like, well, if you're not coming, I'm just gonna go on my own, which, as I said, it's kind of bizarre because, well, at the moment she doesn't have powers yet, but obviously eventually we know she is going to end up developing powers. And then the good rogues agree. They're like, okay, well, she's clearly more brave than us, let's just all go and help. Now, we did have this talk between Joe and Cecile. They talk about Cecile leveling up, and it's just adding more onto the superhero stuff, which they do for Cecile, and it's just something I'm really not liking. Regardless of what they do in the show, I am just not going to like the storyline with Cecile becoming a superhero. I don't think this is necessary, and this isn't something that should happen. But obviously later on in the episode, in terms of Joe and Cecile, Joe still has the plan to leave Central City, keep Jenna safe from all of this danger, but then agrees to keep Cecile in Central City with all the hero stuff, which is something I really do not like. We do then have the Rogues and Red Death following through with Plan B, which is Red Death pretty much using speed hacking to hack the satellites, and it's essentially to get like a psychic upgrade in a way. So we have Red Death leveling up, and this is by placing Red Death's sentience. They aren't exactly clones because they're just projections, but they feel real. But in a way, this kind of feels repetitive to the Godspeed clones. I have said this before, but Red Death just feels like a mashup of Zoom, Savitar, and Godspeed, which on paper, or just like when saying it, it does sound like a good thing, but I'm talking about it in some sort of like a repetitiveness way, if you know what I mean. But we have Chester being able to detect psychic energy, in which we find out that Red Deaths are everywhere. We have multiple different Red Death sentients scattered across Central City, and later on in the episode we find out that it's the entire world, not just Central City. And Chester mentions that the way she's doing this is from a neural boost from someone psychic. So it's from a psychic source. Khione then goes up to Barry. She's like, yo, I'm ready. Let's go save Mark. In which Barry obviously says, I'm sorry, I can't let you come with me, because Barry can't risk losing anyone anymore. He lost Frost. They lost Caitlyn. And also, she has no field experience or anything like that. Khione obviously does understand. But we have Team Flash then searching the area of the warehouse. We have Goldface and Allegra searching the parameters, and I thought they had a very, very funny interaction. But then we had the Flash and the rest of the good rogues in the warehouse. Hartley is able to use his hearing, and they find where Chilblain is. Chilblain is saved, but obviously they're like, wait, this is too easy. How is this possible? But surprise, surprise, it's a trap. Red Death attacks, takes everyone down, steals more of Barry's speed. So now Barry is very, very limited with his speed. And, we have this interaction between the Flash and Red Death. Red Death mentions that she's going to be judge, jury, and executioner. So she's going to eliminate all threats using her sentience and herself as well. She does also mention that despite these being psychic manifestations, she's still able to, inflict harm on others as well. And she does refer back to the scene in season 7 where Savitar stabbed the Flash, which I still don't understand how she knows about the vision. It could be from Grodd, but also you have to understand, if it's not from Grodd, she is from a completely different timeline. So the fact that she knows about this is a plot hole. So I don't know, I guess it's just left for interpretation whether it's through Grodd or it's a plot hole. And we have Red Death mentioning Barry's greatest failure, which when the synopsis came out, we were all wondering what this is, in which Red Death clicks her fingers, Barry ends up in Gorilla City of Earth Prime, where Grodd is all alone. You know, Grodd's been all alone for 3 years, separated from his tribe. And we find out that Red Death is pretty much working with Grodd, controlling Grodd in a way. And we have these like crisis connections and everything. And I thought this was really, really cool as well. So yeah, Grodd and Red Death working together. I thought it was a pretty interesting twist. We then have Team Flash talking about, you know, the trap that happened, in which, how did they get back to Star Labs as well? That's another thing. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. But Barry mentions that he has 1 day to recover, and this is when we have more conflict taking place within the team, because obviously too dangerous, so everyone's just like, it's over, we lost, I'm just gonna go home and, you know, protect my loved ones, basically. So in the case of Jaco, it's his son. In the case of Hartley, it's obviously Roderick. And in the case of Goldface, he's gonna go back to Iron Heights and apologize to Amunet. And Barry is left all alone over here. We then have this really good pep talk scene between Iris and Khione. I believe this is their first proper interaction together. And, you know, Khione just talks about how she feels useless because she's not able to help Chillblaine, in which if it was Caitlyn, she would obviously use her medical expertise, and obviously Frost has powers, so, you know, she just feels out of place. And Iris is like the perfect person to have a pep talk about this with, due to her also being powerless. I just really like this interaction between Khione and Iris, in my opinion. Now, something I found weird was Khione kissing Mark, and then Mark just wakes up. It was a pretty weird scene they've added, and the fact that Khione is a complete stranger and just kissed Mark, I thought was pretty random as well. But I guess the reason why they did it is to show that, like, you know, that weird Frost, and that's to essentially highlight that yes, Khione does have powers, she just doesn't know about it yet. We then had this absolutely amazing pep talk between Joe and Barry. You know, Barry feels useless. He doesn't have a speed. He just lost his team. Joe also feels useless because he has no way in pretty much contributing. He talks to Barry about how he's going to leave Central City, and Barry is actually pretty surprised about this. Joe mentions that Barry's gift is bringing in like the good out of people. So this was something I really liked. And I really love the scene where Barry's like, well, the moment where Barry's like, if it weren't for you, all the heroes wouldn't have been raised the way they are. And just Joe's superpower being inspiring people, I absolutely love that. But then we have a telepathic signal in which Grodd is detected. Barry then, you know, teleports to Gorilla City, if you will, or wherever Grodd is, in the forest, basically. And we have Barry pep talking Grodd. He talks about, remember what we talked about last time we met. You know, he talks about how you were good as a hero, things like that. How Red Death could potentially betray you. How do you know you're not being used? I need your help to save the world. All those sorts of stuff. And this interaction was also absolutely beautiful as well. I really loved this interaction between Grodd and Barry, and how Barry's like, there's always another way. Let me help you find your tribe. Things like that. I absolutely loved it so much. But we then have Red Death wreaking havoc in Central City. Red Death actually killed someone this time, surprisingly. But yeah, we have Red Death's plan being destroyed because of Grodd and the Flash. So that's a big W for Team Flash. We then have this incredible fight scene between the Red Death and the Flash. One of the best we've definitely seen on the show. This fight scene was just absolutely crazy, absolutely insane. I just loved it. The CGI was really cool. And I just loved how, you know, they were using Speed Force constructs and everything like that. You know, the batarangs with Red Death, I thought was just absolutely incredible. Just wow. Definitely one of the best speedster fight scenes we've had on the show. We then have the rogues coming in, the good rogues coming in. They then take their turns against the Red Death, which the Red Death is smoking them. But then we have Batwoman coming in. She uses like a Batarang nanite type of thing where she completely suppresses Red Death from her speed. The music hits, the Batwoman music and everything, I thought was a really cool entrance. It was great hearing that music once again. And yeah, we now have Red Death versus Batwoman. So Ryan Wilder versus Ryan Wilder. And obviously, since Red Death is Ryan Wilder as well, she knows how to fight. So it was a pretty even fight, and it was something I really, really loved. They didn't really explain what's been happening, like how she's been missing or something like that. So I did find that a bit random. But, you know, the Flash and Batwoman have finally met. So this was another moment that was a highlight, and I really loved. And obviously when they're all in the Cortex at Star Labs, we obviously have Iris and Ryan Wilder's best friend relationship being established as well. More of these like Easter eggs to the future, all of these connections, something I did really like. And I did also appreciate like the Supergirl name drops the Ryan Wilder dropped as well, and how they, you know, go out weekly together. So that was something that was really cool as well. We then cut to 2 weeks later, in which we have Joe's goodbye party, if you will, and I just loved seeing all of the cast together. It was just this like family dynamic the show has, all of the cast members being in the same set. It was something I really loved, and it's obviously very rare where we get these like beautiful family moments between Team Flash celebrating like this, and this was something I did really like, especially considering this is the final season, so we are very limited on like how long we get to see all of the cast members in the same scene together. And just having the season 2 feel together, it just made me love this even more, just having all of the team over there just celebrating. I loved it. We obviously had Chillblaine and Barry, you know, talking about Barry saving Chillblaine and how, you know, Mark is part of this team, all those sorts of stuff. We did have a Chalegra kiss, which did ruin the moment, but Team Flash's priceless reaction definitely did make up for it. Barry's just like, when did this happen? And Iris said something along the lines of, the better thing to say is, finally it happened. So I did really love this, and just all of the team's members just staring at Chester the Allegra. I thought it was very funny. But obviously the bigger bomb drop, Iris feels dizzy, in which Khione is able to sense that Iris is pregnant. So we found out that Iris is pregnant, more of which Team Flash have to celebrate for. So this was another really cool moment as well, and it obviously shows that the future is changing. But yeah, overall, as I said, it's a very strong conclusion to this Red Death arc. So overall, really loved this episode. Barely any complaints this time. And it was just overall just a very enjoyable, very surprising, just full of twists and turns, and just very enjoyable moments this episode had. And this is why I give this episode a solid 8.5 out of 10. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys enjoyed most about this episode. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts towards all of this as well. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video.